Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Jack.
And I'm Lucy. Great to be here.
Today, we have an upper intermediate level lesson for you.
Yes, and it's a topic that's a little bitter, a little sad, but also a little sweet in its own way.
That's right. Today we're talking about divorce. What happens when a marriage comes to an end?
When two people decide they can no longer stay together, they go through a divorce. It can be emotional, complicated, and sometimes even painful.
So, let's listen to today's dialogue between a couple who are trying to divide their belongings peacefully. After that, we'll come back and explain some key vocabulary.
Lucy, let's not make this divorce any more acrimonious than it already is. We've argued enough over the past few months.
I agree. Let's just get down to business and divide everything fairly so we can go our separate ways without any more drama.
Fine with me. I just want this to be over. I think it's important that we make a clean break and move on with our lives.
You're right. There's no reason for this to become nasty. My lawyer told me that you've accepted the alimony proposal and the property division.
Yes, I agreed. And we've already settled the custody agreement for the pets. You'll keep the cat and I'll take the dog.
Okay, at least that part is settled. So what's next?
Let's start with the record collection. I'll take the albums I bought and you can keep your old disco records.
Fine, but I'm keeping the antique gramophone. My grandfather gave it to us as a wedding present.
I thought that was a gift for both of us. And besides, you barely use it.
Maybe, but it belonged to my grandfather, and it means a lot to me.
All right, I'll concede the gramophone if I can keep the silver tea set.
The silver tea set? When are you ever going to use that?
That's not the point. It has sentimental value.
Fine, I don't want to drag this out any longer than necessary. What about these old photographs?
Let me see. Oh, wow. That was our trip to Italy. Remember when we got caught in the rain near the Trevi Fountain?
Yes, and you took a picture of me standing in that little alley, laughing with my hair all wet?
We were really happy back then, weren't we?
We were.
Jack, are we making a mistake? I know our relationship has been on the rocks for a while, but is there any chance we could reconcile? I still love you.
Jack, I love you too. Maybe we rushed into this decision.
I'm just glad we didn't have to decide who keeps the motorcycle.
The motorcycle? That's mine. Let's take a look at some important vocabulary from this lesson.
The first word is acrimonious. It's quite a difficult word, often studied by students preparing for important exams.
If something is acrimonious, it means it's bitter, angry, and full of strong negative emotions.
For example, their divorce was very acrimonious because they argued about everything.
Next, we have prenup, which is short for prenuptial agreement.
A prenuptial agreement is a legal contract signed before marriage. It explains how money and property will be divided if the couple divorces.
You often hear about prenups in movies or when celebrities get married.
Exactly. Basically, if you sign a prenup or prenuptial agreement, you are agreeing to certain financial conditions before you even get married.
Exactly. A prenup or prenuptial agreement is a legal contract between a future husband and wife that explains what will happen if they ever get divorced.
So, for example, someone might decide not to get a prenup because they truly believe their marriage will last forever.
But another person might prefer to sign one just in case things don't work out, especially if they want to protect certain assets, like a business, a house, or even a car.
That's why prenups are so common among celebrities and wealthy individuals.
Right, because when there's a lot of money involved, a divorce can become very complicated and very expensive.
Without a prenup, the division of wealth could turn into a long legal battle.
But with a prenuptial agreement, the couple already decides in advance how much each person will receive.
For instance, the agreement might say that if they divorce, the wife receives $1 million instead of half of $100 million.
Exactly. It's a way for people to protect themselves financially and avoid uncertainty in the future.
Now, let's move on to another important legal term related to divorce, alimony.
In the dialogue, Lucy says, "My lawyer tells me you've accepted our alimony proposal."
So clearly, alimony has something to do with money.
Yes, alimony is the amount of money that one spouse agrees or is ordered by the court to pay the other after a divorce.
Usually, this happens when one partner earns much more money than the other.
So, for example, if a husband is very wealthy and his wife has no income, he might have to pay her alimony every month or as a large settlement.
So alimony is different from dividing property, right?
Exactly. Division of property means deciding who gets the house, the car, the furniture, or other shared belongings.
While alimony is specifically about financial support after the marriage ends.
Another important word we heard was custody.
Yes, custody refers to who has the legal responsibility to care for someone, usually children, but it can also refer to pets, as in the dialogue where they were deciding who keeps the cat and who keeps the dog.
When parents divorce, one parent might get full custody, meaning the child lives with them most of the time.
Or they might share custody, meaning both parents are responsible for raising the child.
You could also say the child is in the grandmother's custody, which means the grandmother is taking care of the child.
And sometimes custody battles are what make a divorce extremely acrimonious.
Yes, because deciding who keeps the children or even the pets can be very emotional. Now, let's talk about something less legal and more historical, the antique gramophone.
In the dialogue, Lucy says she's keeping the antique gramophone because it belonged to her grandfather.
The word antique describes something very old and valuable, often over 100 years old.
And a gramophone is an old-fashioned machine used to play vinyl records.
Before CDs, MP3 players, or smartphones, people used gramophones to listen to music.
They usually had a large horn that amplified the sound.
And you had to manually turn a crank to make the record spin.
It's a beautiful and classic piece of history.
Finally, let's look at the word concede.
In the dialogue, Jack says, "Fine, I'll concede the silly gramophone."
To concede means to admit defeat or give up after an argument.
It's like saying, "Okay, you win, I give up."
You can concede in everyday arguments about objects.
And you can also concede in bigger situations, like in politics.
For example, after an election, one candidate might concede when they realize they have lost.
That means they accept the result and stop fighting.
So, to concede is to surrender gracefully in a disagreement.
Exactly, and hopefully without making the situation more acrimonious than it needs to be.
All right. So today we covered 6 key words, and they're really interesting, especially the legal terms.
Yes, these words are very common, and they're also very useful to know, especially the next time you watch a movie or a TV show that deals with divorce or relationships.
Hopefully, though, not the next time you're actually going through a divorce yourself.
Exactly. But let's move on now. We also have 4 key phrases for everyone on Fluency Builder.
That's right. And the first phrase is something you hear all the time in everyday English, to get something over with.
For example, you might say, "Margot, let's get this over with. I'm tired. I just want to go home."
Yes, so to get something over with means you want to finish something quickly, without further delay.
Right. You just want to stop avoiding it and deal with it now.
For instance, if you have to go to the dentist and you're nervous, you might tell yourself, "Let me just get this over with," so you don't worry about it any longer.
Or if you have homework that you keep postponing, you might say, "I'll do it now and just get it over with."
Exactly. That's the first phrase.
The next phrase is to make a clean break.
Yes, this is important when talking about relationships. If someone says they want to make a clean break, it means they want to completely stop contact with the other person.
No calls, no messages, no meeting up. Everything ends and you move on completely.
You can also use this phrase for other situations, like if you break your arm and it breaks cleanly, no pieces, no complications, you could also call that a clean break.
But in relationships, it's about ending things completely and moving on without lingering connections.
Right.
The third phrase is to drag something out.
In the dialogue, Lucy says, "I don't want to drag this out any longer than necessary."
To drag something out means to make a situation last longer than it needs to.
For example, if someone is giving a very long speech, you might think, "Oh my God, he's dragging this out."
Or during an argument, if people keep fighting unnecessarily, you might say, "I'm tired of arguing. Let's not drag this out any longer."
It's all about unnecessary extension of time.
And finally, we have on the rocks.
This is an interesting phrase. If a relationship is on the rocks, it means it's having serious problems and is not going well.
For example, Jeff might say, "Our relationship has been on the rocks for some time."
And you can use it in other situations too, like a business. "My company has been on the rocks lately," meaning it's struggling.
Of course, be careful. It's different from drinks on the rocks, which just means a drink with ice.
Right. Here, it's metaphorical. Something on the rocks is unstable or in trouble.
These are all really useful, natural, and colloquial phrases. I encourage you to practice them.
Absolutely. And now, why don't we go back and listen to the dialogue one last time? Jack, let's not make this divorce any more acrimonious than it already is.
All right, Lucy, let's just get down to business and start dividing everything fairly so we can go our separate ways.
Fine with me. I just want to get this over with.
It's important we make a clean break.
I should have signed a prenup.
What was that?
Nothing. Anyway, you're right. There's no reason this has to be nasty. My lawyer tells me that you've accepted our alimony proposal, the division of property, and the custody agreement.
I keep the cat and you get the dog. That part is done.
Finally, let's not go there.
Okay, let's start with the record collection. I'll take the albums I contributed, and you can keep your cheesy disco albums.
Fine, but I'm keeping the antique gramophone as my grandfather gave it to me.
I thought that was a wedding present for both of us, Lucy.
And you hardly ever use it, Jack.
That's true, Lucy, but he's my grandfather, and honestly, he never really liked you anyway.
Whatever. All right, I'll concede the silly gramophone if you'll agree that I get the silver tea set.
How typical. When are you ever going to use a silver tea set anyway?
Fine. I really don't want to drag this out any more than necessary.
Okay, so what's next? What about these old photographs?
Which ones exactly? Let me take a look.
Oh, wow. Look at that. That really brings back memories.
Remember our trip to Italy? That day was so special.
I remember it clearly. We were going to visit the Trevi Fountain, and then we got caught in the rain.
And you looked so adorable with your hair all wet.
I even took a picture of you standing there in that little alley, smiling and laughing in the rain.
Oh, we really did have fun back then, didn't we?
We did. Lucy, are we making a big mistake here?
I know our relationship has been on the rocks for some time, Jack, but are you sure we can't reconcile and try again?
I still love you, Lucy.
Oh, Jack, I love you too. I'm so glad we didn't have to decide who keeps the motorcycle.
The motorcycle? But that's mine.
Music? All right, we're back. So that was a very interesting dialogue all about divorce.
And Lucy, it's such a common situation nowadays in many countries, like the United States or in Europe, where divorce rates have increased a lot over the past 10 or 20 years.
Yeah, I've read that since the 70s and 80s, divorce rates have been steadily rising.
I think the average now in America is around 50%.
So basically, 5 out of 10 marriages end in divorce.
And from what I understand, if someone remarries after a divorce, the likelihood of another divorce is again about half.
That means it's quite possible that many people will experience divorce at least twice in their lifetime.
True, but sometimes people marry very young, and as they grow older, their personalities or goals change.
In those cases, a divorce can actually lead to a better, more informed second marriage.
So situations vary a lot, but yes, divorces are quite common in America.
What about Ecuador, Jack? Is the divorce rate similar there?
Not really, Lucy. People there tend to be a bit more old-fashioned about marriage.
Divorce is still somewhat taboo in many cases, especially if couples have been together for a long time.
It surprises me when people divorce after 20 or 30 years of marriage.
Exactly. You'd think they've survived the toughest times, yet they decide to separate late in life.
Sometimes they wait until their children are grown or have left home before making that big decision.
I see. And in some countries, like Chile, divorce was illegal.
Yes, and in the Philippines as well. It's often due to cultural or legal reasons, sometimes related to religion.
In Chile, though, it might be legal now. I've heard that previously people would annul their marriages for technical reasons.
Like spelling their names wrong or using the wrong address to declare the marriage invalid.
Fascinating. I'd love to hear from our listeners in Chile or other countries.
Yes, let us know on our website, englishpod.com, whether divorce is common, uncommon, legal, or illegal where you live.
All right. See you there, everyone. Bye-bye. Music. Now let's review the vocabulary from today's lesson.
First, clean break, a thorough or complete stop in a relationship.
For example, I don't care if he wants to keep the house and the car. I just want a divorce and a clean break so I never have to see him again.
Another is prenup, short for prenuptial agreement, a contract before marriage.
Custody refers to the act of keeping safe or guarding someone, like a child, or even pets after divorce.
Concede means to acknowledge something, often reluctantly, as being true.
Drag this out means to proceed for an extended period of time, making something longer than necessary.
And finally, go our separate ways, which means to set apart or end a relationship completely.
Let's try them faster together. Concede, drag this out, go our separate ways, prenup, clean break, custody.
Perfect. Each word and phrase helps you understand real-life conversations about relationships and divorce.
And now you can use them naturally in your own conversations.
I proposed we go our separate ways, Jack, but she really didn't want to.
Yeah, Lucy, that's when you have to carefully think about custody.
I'm fighting for custody of my dog because I've taken care of him for years.
The court even gave custody of the children to the father in one case I read about recently.
People always have custody battles when they get divorced, whether it's children or even pets.
And sometimes you just have to concede, Lucy.
After 3 hours of arguing, she finally conceded to him the computer she had been using all week.
I find it really hard to concede when I know someone else is right, but sometimes you just have to.
Exactly. Like in this case, he conceded me the right to use the car every day since I commute a lot.
Then there's the problem of people dragging things out, Lucy.
I hate it when people drag out a conversation for hours instead of coming to a decision.
Yes, it can be exhausting. I don't want to drag out this argument any longer.
And sometimes situations themselves drag out, like bad weather.
The weatherman said this bad weather will drag out for another 3 days, so we just have to be patient.